Right, welcome back. We're winding up on Monday Special shortly, talking about money in relationships. And during the break, I think Wangeshi was going to ask, you had an interesting question for Tom. Do you want to ask it?
Yeah, a question to the marriage counselor.
Yeah.
Would you recommend ladies in relationships to borrow money or get a loan for a boyfriend?
Well, with reservations. The first reservation. So the answer is yes, but with reservations. The first reservation is you've got to be in a place where you trust each other fully. That there's not going to be any exploitation on the part of the person who is receiving the money, the boyfriend who is receiving the money. The second reservation is there must be legal papers signed that the money will be returned. So take care of yourself, even though you trust each other. Take care of yourself so that he signs an agreement that is legally binding, that he can deposit with the bank so that it comes straight into your account in paying back. So take care of the legal angle. But the third reservation is you need to look at his financial records and history. So when he asks for the money, you will need to talk to his banker with his permission so that you're not spying on him. You say, I would like to talk to your banker to find out what your credit record is so that I can be able to develop trust in this regard.
It sounds like it's something you've come across quite a bit. Women borrowing money to finance the boyfriends?
Yeah, I've met a lot of ladies who have already borrowed money to finance a business venture or a startup, and then the relationship goes sour.
Yes. And
they don't know, do I call him, do I ask him for my money, or how do I get back my money?
There were no safeguards clearly in that situation.
Yeah.
They simply operated on trust, but they did not put any safeguards.
And even though what you're saying are guidelines, there's no guarantee that the money will come back.
No. Unless
Joel,
now you talk to his banker, and his banker gets the money for you.
Joel, you have a reaction in response to that?
I don't think it's right giving men money like your boyfriend.
Yeah.
He's just your boyfriend. But it depends with the angle he comes and borrows the money. As you said, you're supposed to sign somewhere that he's supposed to return that money. But these days, we're doing things so blindly. He comes, babe, this and this is happening. So the minute he says that, you feel like you're obliged to give him money. So you just give him money with no legal papers signed. Eventually, that money will never come back. Because it's so difficult asking money from someone you love. Yeah, very difficult.
Okay, he wants to comment, and then you comment on a tweet that you saw just now before we get your final comments.
I think you're hanging around the wrong people, because I think when it comes to money, it's very different. I don't know the reaction if you have a friend for a long time. I don't know if you have a friend for a very long time. There's always when you not get to discuss about money, live in a relationship, just your personal friend. When you get to talk about money, things now change. If you've known someone like for over 2 years and then you talk about money, whichever amount, things change. Even now, even how you relate, money is very sensitive.
Yeah.
So I'll suggest before you loan someone money, okay, you might be in love, you might be happy, you might be in that bubble, but this is money. Money is very sensitive, by the way.
Would you let someone borrow a loan for you?
Yeah, obvious, but at the end of the day, it's only right.
Yeah.
You return, no matter the circumstances.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
No matter the circumstances.
Okay. I think that's the value add here, is just to make sure that you uphold your end of the bargain.
Venture, not lifestyle.
For business venture, not lifestyle. Okay, because that's a whole other.
That's a whole other level.
That's a whole other level. All right. You had a comment about the tweet that said, I would rather not talk about money to the woman because there's wastage involved, or they'll waste it, something along those lines.
Right. I would assume that particular gentleman has probably had that kind of experience with his girlfriend or wife. But my experience from a majority of the couples we relate with, and even in our own experience, she's the better money manager. And in the premarital counseling course that we normally facilitate, we normally say the person who has the better money management skills should actually be the one to take, charge of the money.
Yeah.
And that's the way, I think that should be the approach.
Yeah.
All around, yes.
So maybe as we wind up, how else have you managed to make it work, and what would you want to say to other couples who are maybe struggling with this issue? She's not sure if she can divulge all the information to him. He's not sure he can trust her with his card. What would you want to say to a couple going through that, a married couple going through that right now?
I think you have to be careful we always say that what is recommended is that you have a joint account and you reveal everything. But I've also seen that causing a lot of damage. So the ideal situation is that you have very open accounts. When you keep things in secret, such as a hidden plot, or you've bought a plot and you didn't tell your spouse, in the unfortunate event of death, your children could be suffering, and there's a plot you bought somewhere and your wife doesn't know. So your children are out of school, yet there's a plot sitting idle in a suspense account, and the money going into a suspense account of an account that was never revealed. So it helps to just be open about the account, but also to be wise. As what he has said, let the person who's wiser with money handling handle the money. Even if it's a wife, sometimes some wives are very clever with money and are able to multiply money better than their husbands. So if you have that kind of wife, listen to your wife, give her the platform to use her talents, because when you're old, you will really appreciate that you did not miss out on opportunities that she could see.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for that. Your final words as well.
Okay. I would say for those that are engaged, it would be wise to seek counsel from those that have gone before you. So go to your local church or go to somewhere where you can get premarital counseling, and people with experience will take you through the various things that you would expect in marriage, and especially on the issue of money. It's always one of the bigger topics which brings a lot of controversy, and you can iron things out.
Okay.
Right. Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, Lord.
I'll suggest openness, because I think the key to a good relationship, from what I've heard from our marriage counselor, is openness. The moment someone knows you, let's say inside out, is when now they get even to trust you, and they know what to expect. If it was going to be, actually you'll see the fruits going to be. So I think that should be a start, and people should stop fearing women. Women are the backbone of our society. So, yeah.
Okay.
Final remark.
Thank you for that. My director is saying, I like this guy. Jewel.
I think we have to be cautious first, and you have to build trust. After that, you can talk about money. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Finally, Tom.
Well, there are some of the do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
Number one, you don't have to have a joint account, but you do need to have joint values and a joint policy and a joint plan. Number two, with regard to debt management, when you come into a situation where debt has now been disclosed, do not throw someone under the bus and say, that's your problem, you incurred it, deal with it. Now look for a joint approach of dealing with that debt, especially if this is a relationship you value. So debt management needs a joint approach, not an under-the-bus approach.
Okay.
Thirdly, talking about issues of trust. Trust is built through disclosure, trust is built through bearing and forgiving, and trust is built through talking about things. So you must talk at all times.
Okay.
And lastly, about money. Money is emotive because of the value we attach to it. So we need to get as much information about money so we don't put it where it doesn't belong. Because sometimes we give too much credit and premium to money where it is not a master but a servant. So we need to assign it to the right place in our lives so it doesn't control us, but we control it.
All right. Thank you all so much for your thoughts, and of course thank you for watching Monday Special. Keep the conversation going. The hashtag is Monday Special KE on Twitter. I'm Janet Mbogwa-Ndisho. I don't know if we have tweets just before I say goodnight. Apparently we do. I hope there's some women tweeting, by the way. There we go. We only saw tweets from the men earlier. Wanya says, unless I'm certain that the relationship will last, no need to disclose financial matters. That's a lot about what Joel said. Khadija says, couples should discuss about finances before marriage. Okay, and then we have Joy saying, money is critical. Let there be open discussions about how the money will be used. Openness is key. And finally, Luvicia says, money can't build relationship, but trust, transparency, and love will build relationships. A lot of what the panelists say tonight. Lord is pointing at himself like, that's what I said. All right, okay, thank you so much for your wisdom as well. Tom, thank you, Joel and Lord. Thank you for watching, and have a good night. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with Monday Special, where the topic tonight is money and relationships. We'll be breaking down the do's and don'ts, some of the misconceptions around it as well, and perhaps how to build healthier relationships when it comes to dealing especially with the financial issues. Let me first introduce my panelists to you before we take a look at your feedback. On my right, we have a couple, Willie and Wangeshi Kanyeki, who have been married for 16 years. So they can give us an idea about how they managed or continue to manage the money in their relationship and their marriage. Right next to me, of course, we have Tom Otieno, who is a marriage counselor. He'll also tell us about some of the issues he's dealt with regarding money and relationships and money in marriages. And then we have Jewel Nyokabi, who is a student. She tells us her thoughts on especially young people dating, their views on money in relationships. And finally, we have Lord Gishohi, who is a digital marketer. He'll give us the male perspective as well on that. Thank you all so much for coming on Monday Special. Before we get into the discussion, here's what people are saying on Twitter. Remember, the hashtag is Monday Special KE. So let's bring up those tweets and take a look at some of the comments. Let's see if we have them. Okay, let's take a look at what you're saying on Twitter. Someone is saying, you don't discuss on salary day. You agree in advance who will be in charge of what in the house. Okay. And then we have abundance of finances or lack of it dictates the presence of peace or wrangles in many matrimonial homes. Federico Egi says, matters finances between marriages should be addressed with caution since money is the source of all evil. Molimo Joshua says, though marriage dictates full disclosure of information, it is wise to withhold part of it. It is wise to withhold part of it. Tom, do you agree with that?
No, I do not agree entirely, because keeping money secrets can be the source of a lot of problems in a relationship.
Yeah.
So the way to start is to create a framework where you can have healthy discussions on money and talk about money, even if it is difficult to talk about it.
Yeah.
Creating a frame for a healthy discussion that takes away suspicion, it takes away mistrust, and it gives you a frame to be able to discuss your money. You don't have to agree, but the fact that you're discussing is a good place.
At what point does that start? When you're dating, when you're courting, when you're engaged, when you're married? When exactly does that discussion start?
It's always good to start when you're dating. Talk about financial expectations. Talk about how you're wired financially. Because how you're wired financially has a lot to do with how you were raised and how you saw people spend money and how you have been taught to spend money yourself.
Yeah.
There are two kinds of money people. There are spenders and there are savers. Spenders love to spend. Savers love to save. And I think at the end of the day, a good settlement is for spenders to realize they can never spend everything, and for savers to realize they can never save everything.
Okay.
So there must be a middle ground for everything. I
think I know Willie and Wangeshi will give us some pretty good insight, but first I'd like to hear from Lord and Jewel. Your thoughts. You know, you're not married yet, you're sort of out there either dating or in a relationship. So let me start with you, Jewel. What is it that young people, especially right now, are saying with regards to discussing money when it comes to relationships?
It's quite difficult because you never know the intention of someone.
Yeah.
I might tell him I'm getting this and this amount of money, but he's not there because of the love. He's there to exploit me. So I think withholding how much you're getting when you're in a relationship, that's what I would do. But if I'm seeing that this is the guy I want to marry, then eventually I'll come clean and tell him this and this what I make.
Okay, so eventually you'd be open to saying what you make. What are your thoughts on the issue?
If in a relationship, I don't think there's any reason you should hide about your finances. Because one, I don't want you to be expecting heaven and I only have a Mutura budget. So I want you to know and what to expect, because there's sometimes I might look good, I might look rich, but I don't have money. So if I'm not open about my finances, at the end of the day, the relationship will not go anywhere. So what I'd like to disagree with her is, when you're getting in a relationship, I guess first of all we are all naive. And the fact that you don't know, it's a matter of trust. It's like you're going into a forest, you don't know where the end is. So when you get into a relationship, I think the first thing is you have to now get to trust your partner. Okay. So that you can all be in the same page.
Right.
Forward,
I think you were both there maybe 16, 17 years ago before you celebrated 16 years of marriage. How can you tell us about how you discussed, how you introduced the topic of money in your relationship, and how it graduated as you began to say, this is the person I'm going to settle down with. How did you begin that discussion when you were courting?
Good evening. I'm Mongeshi Kanyeki, and we started discussing about money during courtship, or is it dating? I don't know, the lines merge. Dating and courtship.
Okay.
And the importance of discussing money before marriage is that you need to have some sense of disclosure. For example, is either of the spouse having a debt? Because once you get married, you're going to inherit that debt. So you need to talk about money so that you talk if there's debt. And you also need to talk about if perhaps I've been supporting my mother, maybe an aging parent, you need to disclose these matters. And then if maybe I'm paying school fees for 5 of my siblings, and I'm about to get married, the partner is going to inherit that kind of burden, financial burden. So you do need to discuss these things way before marriage so that the partner knows what they're getting into.
Did you agree from the get-go? Like, were you hesitant to talk about your finances, and when you started to talk about it, did you find yourselves clashing over a few things?
We'll start clashing now.
You start clashing now. Go for it.
Well, the thing is, I think at the time we got married, we were both employed. Now we are not. We are self-employed. We both had very good jobs. And I was from the kind of background where you didn't disclose what you earned, because you know, other people will start, you know, sort of spending your money for you. So for me it was a struggle to actually reveal to her what I earned. Like, maybe I never told her that, but it was a struggle to actually show her my pay slip and say, this is my net pay. But when I crossed that bridge, when we got married, we had to agree, where are we going to live? Are we going to live in Muthaiga, or are we going to live where we can afford? At that time we were both living in Maradaima because that's what we could afford. So we could move from there to Lavington. So when we eventually moved somewhere on Gong Road, and that's what we could afford. But we had to get into that conversation.
But you were on the same page, or it was a bit of a back and forth?
No, we were on the same page.
You were on the same page. Before you comment, Tom, what do you think is the biggest reason why people are scared to disclose their pay slips and their financial status to the other person? What is really the issue there?
First of all, is orientation. Like Kanyeki says, most of us are brought up to treat the matter as a private matter. So you feel like somebody is intruding into your private matters when you have to declare or disclose. But we have to overcome that, because when you're getting into a relationship, marriage is, or relationships are shared establishments or shared enterprises. So, and the sharing is very deep. It's not casual. So one has to prepare for that kind of engagement. Secondly, it's when people have had fear issues because they've been wounded in the past. They probably were in a previous relationship where someone got them into a real mess. So they just say, you know, when it comes to money, we'll not talk about this. This is off limits. You know, so baggage. Third one is basically what one would call suspicion, because trust is an ongoing journey. And when you're dating, especially, it is a time to build trust. So some people usually do not work as fast in the area of trust as others do.
I know you wanted to comment, and I'll hear from Joel and Lord in a bit. You wanted to comment on something. Did you want to add on to what he had said?
Just what he has said, and also what Tom has said, is the woman has become empowered. So it becomes very difficult for her to disclose her money. And she wants to, first of all, society teaches you that you need to keep some money aside.
I was just going to ask that.
Him everything. And so you go for counseling when you're getting married and you're told you need to share everything, but the mothers are telling you, you shouldn't say everything. You should have a Swiss account. A Swiss account is that account you hide for a rainy day. So it's such a conflict of messaging. So you don't know whether to tell him really about all the money you have, or you can show your payslip and then you don't say about the savings account.
Are you very open about all the money you have to him?
I am.
We'll believe you.
I don't know whether I'm coming from a bad place or from a good place. Where I come from is, I always knew Mom is the one who's planning all the money for the family. and mom is working but does not have money. Money is dad's money. So at the end of the day, whenever you ask mom for something, it's ongea na dad. So where I'm coming from is women from our society. I don't know, maybe it's a different
hold the microphone.
Maybe it's a different society issue. Women from our society, from our time now, we were shown that women is the one who knows how to plan the money on behalf of the family. That everything, if you want to ask dad for something, umeongea na mom. So I think if you're looking at women being empowered, I think when it came to finances and resources in an African society, a woman looked like the one who can organize, because now if you look at also a man was maybe busy, does not have time for the nitty-gritties,
for the planning and everything.
Because now I can't expect dad to come with sugar or to know my shopping. Because I remember even when I was in high school, I really hated when my dad was coming, because he'll come with a newspaper and chips, but mom will come with hot pot, chapo, everything.
So do you think you'll carry that into when you settle down? Do you think you'll go in that mentality, or will you allow your wife in future to have her own money? Is there her money, your money, and our money?
Okay, looking at that, what I'll do, I'm in the perfect situation, because I know I'll marry the best wife. My wife will plan everything. Because I can't be everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll hear from you in a bit. Jewel, your thoughts? My money is mine. His money is ours.
No. In future, I think that my money can be his money. His money can be my money. Because we're in a different generation right now. I don't expect to go somewhere. If he wants me to chip in a bill, I can't. Eventually, we have to grow. All of us.
Okay.
As a couple.
Right. Comment on that as we hear from.
Okay, before we get into the bill part is a point of contention.
Which bill? Paying the bill.
Yes, but sorry for another day. Later in the discussion. I guess I think in a relationship, if you're getting married, in a relationship, you can always have control over your own resources, because if, for example, I want to do something, everybody has their own personal goals when they come into a relationship. So you can have your own money and also come together for other ventures. Planning together, having a budget for something. So not that when you get into a relationship, you even forget about your dreams.
That's interesting. I think I want to hear Tom's take on that before I hear from Willie as well and Wangeshi.
Talking about money is usually the solution to the money problems in the relationship. Because if you don't develop an atmosphere where you can talk, then you cannot develop trust in the area of money. So you talk, then you develop trust. But then thirdly, you have to plan. Because if you don't have a goal, if you don't have financial goals in your family, then what will happen is very soon you will crash. Because you'll be living from hand to mouth, from month to month.
And you'll be
no matter how much you earn. You will not be headed anywhere. You'll be all over the place and nowhere in particular.
There's always contention in many ways about a joint account. Now maybe we can just talk about that. How have you managed that? Is there a joint account in your lives? Is there a his and hers account?
Yes, actually there is. And for us it was providential that when we were planning our wedding, we didn't have a pre-wedding or one of those harambes. We actually planned for it financially. And to enable us to do that, we opened a joint account. So that's where the joint account started. And it was purely, actually my background is accounting. So we planned it. We had all the budget and everything.
So it was planned out.
It was planned out. But at the same time, we still retained our individual accounts.
I was just going to ask, so till now, you have the joint and everyone has the individual accounts. Some people think that's an issue. Like, if she has her own, I don't know what she's saving. I don't know how much she's putting in there and vice versa. How do we break that notion that it's okay to have a joint account, but it's also okay to have our own individual accounts?
Okay. Again, ours was also determined by life in a way. At one point in our marriage, she was the one earning and I was jobless. So what she would do, as the good wife, is she would put the rent money in my account where we had a standing order. so it would appear.
So this, again, I'm hearing things going down to trust and, in a sense, validation. So it's not really about the money, it's about all these values, I think. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe she can comment on that before you step in. Why did you do that?
Yeah, just at the end of the day, it's one pot.
Yeah.
Bottom line. How it's spent, then is an agreement.
Okay. Why did you make that decision to say, I'll wire this money for him to pay rent?
Because what we have seen in our 16 years is that, first of all, God is a provider in the family. And he chooses who to provide through. When I got married, of course, the ideal is he's a provider and I'm the co-provider. But we've seen seasons in marriage where he's the one earning, and then another season I'm the one earning. And you have to be careful how you treat the partner who is not bringing in the bacon. Because you don't know how long the season will last before tables are turned over. So that's one thing I would just, a message to women and to men out there. If you're earning more than your spouse, treat your spouse with dignity. Give them an allowance or budget jointly, because you don't know how long it will last. Tables could turn, and if you treated the person badly, it could retaliate on you. Okay,
that's wisdom. It's a lot of wisdom. I'll get your comments just now, but how do you resolve financial issues in a relationship or in a marriage? If people feel like they're constantly clashing, they're not agreeing, how do they sit down and agree? What kind of words have to be communicated?
I think firstly is to identify the source of the problem. Usually it is suspicion and it is lack of transparency. Nothing has been made plain. There hasn't been a full disclosure. And then thirdly, of course, the baggage we referred to earlier. So the first step is to set up a conference between the two of you. And if that is too difficult, let it be mediated by a person who you both agree that is a person of wisdom and a person who is impartial and cares for both of you. So the conference must happen. Then secondly, have broad parameters that we're going to agree on how we spend our money. And then thirdly, come up with what we call money values for the family, so that you both agree on the values, broad value system for your money. And then fourthly, then you do the planning for your money. If you don't have money values, planning for the money becomes impossible. And if you don't have money values, what then ensues is a gap from where fights come. And it is fueled by suspicion, it is fueled by baggage, it is fueled by, you know, I'm going to go off and spend my money because I earned it anyway, and you go spend yours because you earned it. And, you know, so it is the agreement and having a discussion, and then keep the discussion going so that you have it periodically. Schedule
not
it.
Just a one-off.
Yes, schedule it as a matter of course, so that it's a calendar event in your relationship.
Joel, is any of this making you see things a little differently from what you initially thought about money in marriages, especially?
Maybe in marriages, not in relationships.
Relationships, it's
tricky. Very tricky.
Why is it so tricky in this day and age? What is it with, in your view, the men today that makes it, like you're saying, a lot of women your age, women making them feel like they can't really be open about their finances with these guys? Because
of trust. One thing is trust. Like I said earlier on, I don't know your intention. So there's no way I'm going to be telling you how much I'm making, and you've not even gotten to that point of a relationship where I can tell you things. So I think gradually I have to trust you, then I'll tell you how much I'm making. Yes.
Have you ever had this discussion with someone in the past about money, and how did that go?
Well, it didn't go well. Yes. Because
you were saying you didn't trust his intentions?
Exactly. Or maybe he didn't trust mine.
All right. Is it the same in your case? In your past, in your relationships or relationship, I don't know, you haven't said if you're with someone. Has it been an issue talking about money and how to use money and spend it and that kind of thing? Money values, as Tom has said.
Frankly, I'm an open guy, so I really like keeping it real. So I'll tell you, if you don't have money, you don't have money. If I need 1,000 bob, I need 1,000 bob.
You will even ask her.
Yeah, I'll even ask her. So, and I think it's at a later stage. Not when you start. It's not like 2 weeks and you're already a text. No, it doesn't work like that. So I guess it gets to a point. you just have to be frank and open, because you don't want to be surprised. Like if I met someone today and for example, if after the interview we became friends, we started talking, then I had found out with an iPhone 4, and then after a while she has an iPhone 7, so, and she told me she's a student. So you see question marks. Start. So, and I guess that's where people need to be open, by the way. So that you don't get surprises, because you may get into a strong relationship and then someone gets frustrated. Because now you've been someone for over 6 years, you now get into marriage, and then when you're going to get married, you're introducing all your friends and your family, and then people tell you, that's your fiance. Okay.
I think we'll take a look at some tweets before we start getting some comments and wind up. Let's see what people are saying on Twitter. We have Nafis Mohammed saying, do your best for your family, trust in your wife and don't compete with her on money matters. Okay. Then we have, for security purposes, a man should not disclose the entire finances of the wife to avoid wastage. I think when we come back, we'll get comments from Wangeshi and Willie. Any financial secrets only lead to poor and unplanned spending. Openness makes planning easy. And then when we treat each other as friends, we will always enjoy each other's money. Marriage is friendship. Right. Only middle class share financial information. The rich boys don't. Okay. And then we'll hopefully get some tweets from the ladies as well and see what they're saying on social media. We'll be back to get the final comments and feedback on the discussion tonight. The hashtag is Monday Special K. We'll be right back after this.